So today we have possibly the biggest plot leak that we've gotten so far for Avengers Doomsday. And it's actually not even just for Avengers Doomsday, but for the Multiverse Saga as a whole. It even talks about what the Kang Dynasty, Avengers the Kang Dynasty, was supposed to do, the story revolving around it. And this story right now, going into Avengers Doomsday, is reportedly going to keep a lot of those same elements. And if this is true, then it sounds like they are indeed going to have to address Kang in some way, shape, or form in Avengers Doomsday. I know we've heard that Dr. Doom is actually very angry towards Kang, and he's mad that he secluded the sacred timeline and built the TVA and was pruning other timelines. Hopefully that comes to fruition, and based on what we're about to dive into, it should. So brace yourself, because this plot leak reveals some pretty heavy information. So this is coming from very reliable insider Alex Perez from the CosmicCircus.com. Each month they do a Q&A, and we get this huge reveal in one of Alex's answers to a question. The question, asked by the user Michael, says, would you say that the hero's recent track record of causing major problems, Doctor Strange's actions in No Way Home, and Multiverse of Madness, Monica Rambeau being trapped, and whatever Reed Richards is doing, will be a big part of the primary story for Avengers Doomsday? And here's the big part. Alex replies with, yes, absolutely. And get ready for this answer because it's a doozy. One of the main plot points for the entire Multiverse Saga, which has remained consistent for the Marvel Parliament ever since Loki in 2021, is that the MCU and the multiverse in general is currently caught in an endless loop/cycle. Now, if you're like me, when you originally heard that /read it, you didn't quite understand, but don't worry, Alex elaborates a lot. Also, if you're not familiar with Marvel Parliament is a team at Marvel consisting of many people who have been with the company for an incredibly long time. Basically, it's sort of a council of trusted Marvel members and executive producers who keep track and monitor kind of everything. They work with different writers and directors for different movies and shows, and they all kind of report to each other and help each other out. So that's important to know. This has been the plan for Marvel Parliament, so essentially it's always been the plan at Marvel Studios all along. And here's the plan. So the multiverse in general is currently caught in an endless loop/cycle. Alex Perez says, let me elaborate. Everything that He Who Remains said during his speech at the end of season 1 of Loki and a bit of it in season 2 is true. No matter what course of actions our characters take, the ending will always remain the same. After the multiversal war with the Kang variants, He Who Remains would win using Alioth, build the TVA, which then leads into the story we all know as the MCU, and then loop itself over and over again. This was supposed to be one of the big reveals in Avengers the Kang Dynasty, that this iteration of the universe we're in the movies, in the shows, in the special presentations, anything that Marvel Studios is related to, is just try number 14,605 or so of He Who Remains' attempts to create a universe/timeline in which the multiversal war doesn't happen, or he can just rule over existence forever. So the multiverse being stuck in a loop goes with Kang, or He Who Remains, creating the sacred timeline. The events of Loki and the Multiverse Saga take place. The multiversal war breaks out again. He Who Remains wins again, isolates the sacred timeline, and then it all starts over again. And this is basically what he said about reincarnation. It turns out he wasn't just talking about himself, but he was talking about the multiverse in general. It's just in a loop. And it really is quite a bummer that we're not going to see this in Avengers the Kang Dynasty. I personally loved Kang and He Who Remains and the whole story going on with all the Kang variants, but we are where we are now. Luckily for us, this is not the end of Alex's explanation of what is going to happen now in Avengers Doomsday. He states, now that Kang and his variants are officially out of the picture for the time being, this allows Marvel to continue this plot point in a very different way than originally intended. And just to comment on that for the time being sentence, I don't think he's saying that Kang might come back in Doomsday or Secret Wars, but I do think Kang will eventually come back in other sagas that Marvel might do later on. So now they're using this story in a different way than originally intended. He says, initially, we would have seen Kang's variants causing havoc across time and space, disrupting the multiverse one incursion at a time. However, Now, the main reason revolves around the different heroes who would have been interfering with the fabric of space and time. In Avengers Doomsday, the main incursion that we will see at first revolves around Earth 616 and the universe Monica is set in, where the X-Men currently reside in the film. Other incursions will also be addressed, such as the one in No Way Home, caused by Spider-Man and Doctor Strange. So this is actually very interesting because what it sounds like Marvel Studios has done is essentially swapped out evil Kang variants for heroes. So instead of Kang's variants being the one who are causing a bunch of incursions and essentially the destruction of the multiverse, it's actually the heroes and variants of heroes who are causing the multiverse to collapse. And it almost seems like, based on what we have heard and what we have seen that is going to happen in the Fantastic Four, it kind of sounds like the only thing that's going to be left at the end is Franklin Richards, kind of making him the replacement for He Who Remains. Let me explain what I mean by that. So originally, like just mentioned, multiversal war breaks out, a Kang variant or He Who Remains wins, isolates the timeline, dies, the multiverse pops up again, the multiversal war happens again, a new Kang variant or kind of the same one reincarnated, once again wins, secludes the timeline, and it starts all over, it just loops. But now we don't have Kang, so instead of the Kang variants popping up and causing the destruction of the multiverse, it's our heroes and their shenanigans causing incursions. So Spider-Man caused one in No Way Home, Doctor Strange caused one by going into other universes, and eventually the multiverse will collapse. And here's how I think it could end and then restart. According to the History of the Marvel Universe Volume 2, Franklin Richards is supposed to survive the end of his universe and pass on to the next to become its iteration of the Devourer of Worlds, like Galactus. So when the multiverse is destroyed, I do think there is going to be something left like Battleworld, but even in the comics, at the end, once they win, Franklin is the one who creates the universes and restores the multiverse. But like Alex Perez mentioned, this would essentially just start the cycle over again. Creating more universes means at some point in time, there's going to be more incursions, and ultimately the destruction of the multiverse will come again. But that's most likely where Doctor Doom comes in. I think Doctor Doom is probably going to realize this, and that's why he wants to do something different about it, and that's why he has actually had a grudge against Kang. And that's why he's going to believe himself to be a hero, actually. And why he might have a following, like we've heard. We've heard Doom is going to have his own team consisting of variants of other heroes. And this is somewhat what happens in the Time Runs Out story. He finds out that the multiverse is going to be destroyed and he sets out to save it. Here, they do a good twist of basically saying, yes, the multiverse is going to be destroyed, but then it'll be restored and destroyed again and we'll just be in a loop. So Doom might set out to finally end that loop and save the multiverse not just once, but for an infinite amount of times. The problem is, how Doom might want to go about that might not exactly be the best way, and he might have his own interests in mind. Or something that could happen is that Doom does simply want to save the multiverse from being destroyed, and it's actually Reed Richards who finds out that it's all in a loop. This way, when Doom chooses to save one thing, Battleworld, he is doing so because he believes that they can't save the multiverse. But when it comes down to restoring it and figuring it out, I wouldn't be surprised if that's Reed, especially because he is the father of Franklin Richards, who would build the universes to restore the multiverse. And who knows, maybe we only have really one universe moving forward after Avengers Secret Wars. We're told they're going to focus really on just one, but will only one, for the time being at least, actually exist. Not sure, but I am really excited to see this play out on screen, and now you understand what I mean when I say that they're gonna have to address Kang in some way, shape, or form. I think Dr. Doom mentioning Kang would be a great way to do it, especially considering this story, but go ahead, let me know your thoughts about all of this in the comments down below. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you stay up to date on all the latest Marvel news, rumors, and leaks. You can find us on other social medias, and as always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.